I am so excited about today's talk, and here's why. It's because I absolutely guarantee today's big idea is something you are passionately interested in. In fact, you probably can't think of a more interesting topic. And my hunch is you wish that we'd talk even more about this topic. And I know this is true because every time I hear someone talking about this topic, there's no way I can tune them out. And everybody I know always kind of leans in to hear what people are saying about this particular topic. And today's topic is, it's you and me, but way more interesting, we're going to talk about you. And not only are we going to talk about you, but we're also going to discover something about you that you probably did not know. Now, you're going to need this page, this handout that we made available, and we're going to take a brief quiz that is all about you. And the good news is since you're answering questions that are about you, you will get 100% right. You're going to get A+, the perfect kind of quiz. There's 25 questions on this quiz. It'll just take you a few minutes to finish it, so go ahead and grab that right now. Now, each of the statements that are here on the quiz, you have to give yourself a number. And here's what I want you to do. Give yourself a 1 if the statement is rarely true about you. A 1 if it's rarely true about you. A 2 if the statement is sometimes true about you. 2 sometimes. And 3 if the statement is always true about you. You got it? 1 rarely, 2 sometimes, and 3 always. So if we can get a little test-taking music, you'll have a few minutes to take this test. And ready, set, and go. All right, time is up. So what I want you to do is go ahead and add up the numbers in each section of the quiz. And you can just take a little while to do that right now while I keep talking. And we'll set this aside just for a minute. We're going to come right back to it, okay? What we're doing today is we're continuing what has really been, I think for me, and I've heard from a lot of you, just a terrific series called Masterpiece. And it's all about discovering who you really are. And God says this, you are a masterpiece. Now those words are written by a guy named Paul, who had this personal encounter with Jesus. And when he did, two things happened that just radically transformed and changed everything. First, and most importantly, he came to know the truth about who God is. That was the first thing. But then secondly, and also very important, he came to know the truth about himself and who he is, his true identity. In week number 1, we discovered that every one of us, there's a lot of different identifiers, but who we really are is we're children of God, that God picked you out as his adopted son or daughter. And because of that, then in week number 2, we discovered that wherever we go in this world, as we see people, we're all children of God, which makes us all a part of God's family. God wants to include every one of us in his family. And then last week what we discovered is that each of us, we're not finished yet, but we are a work in progress. Now, just understanding those truths created such a profound change in Paul that he wrote this letter that we've been learning from called Ephesians. We've been going through this throughout this series. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a section from Ephesians where Paul talks about you and something that God has put inside you that you may not even know is there. And it's absolutely essential for understanding your true identity. Now here's what he actually says. He says this, "But to each one of us a grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. So Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, the teachers, to equip his people for works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ." Now, when Paul begins this section by saying, "But to each one of us a grace has been given." Now, the word grace, it's a familiar word, but think about this. Grace is synonymous with gift given. It's saying there's been a gift given to you by God. And not just kind of a generic, all of you, but in general, specifically to you, right? I mean, to you. So go ahead and just kind of poke yourself in the chest and say, you. That's what he wants you to get. And then it goes on and says, here's the gifts that God has given you. Apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, teachers. Now, as you think about that list, maybe you're thinking, hold on, apostles, like a St. Peter or St. Paul, evangelists, like Billy Graham, or worse, one of those guys on Christian television. Well, no. Yes, but no, but not exactly like that. So I'll tell you, before we jump in, let me just say a few things about those words to kind of clarify. Those words, apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, and teacher, they're actually really, really good words that describe good gifts that God has given to you. Unfortunately, these words have either been misused or at times not used at all, and so we often don't have a correct understanding of exactly what they mean. We think they either describe people a lot more spiritual than us, or maybe people a lot more stranger than we ever hope to be. But neither one of them is true. You have to understand, when Paul wrote this, that these gifts were given to you, apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, he was originally writing to just a small group. Maybe think about your small group, if you're in a small group, of just normal people who are finding their way back to God. These describe gifts that God has given to average, everyday people like you and me. Not a Billy Graham, not saints, not superstar Christians. It was just written to someone just like you. And these words, apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, they describe the gifts that you have been given from God. And get this, please. It's not something that we earned. It's not something because we are good enough. And then God said, okay, now I'm going to give you this. It's not any of that kind of stuff in any way. It's just a gift given straight to you from God. So let's get back to that most interesting topic again, okay? You. So if you want, take a look at your handout, and let's talk about the gifts that you've been given here. Now, if you scored high on the A section, you may have what we call an apostolic gift. An apostle means one who's sent out or one who goes first. If you're an apostle, there's a good chance that you love starting new things. In fact, just talking and dreaming about starting new stuff gives you a little bit of an adrenaline rush. And starting something new doesn't scare you at all. And you probably love change, and you love taking on brand new challenges. In the business world, you're the entrepreneurs. You're the 0 to 1 people. You create something out of nothing. But if you have this gift, you have to be careful. Every gift has a shadow side. You can fall in love with every new idea that comes your way every day and maybe never follow through on any of them. And you might even have a tendency to move from one new idea to the next new idea to the next new idea. And the people who are with you or follow you, they're kind of left confused, disappointed, asking, hey, what happened to that last great new idea? But here's why the Jesus mission needs apostles. We are counting on you to start new things. We need you to encourage the rest of us to take big kingdom risks. We need you to come up with new ideas. We need to start brand new groups, start brand new ministries, start brand new not-for-profits, start brand new churches. That's the apostolic gift. Now, if you scored high on the P section, you probably have a prophetic gift. Now, prophet. When we tend to think prophet, we usually think of people who predict the future. And while it's true that a prophet can at times have supernatural knowledge about things to come, more specifically, the better definition is prophets they're truth tellers. And if you're a prophet, you're able to look at a situation and you clearly see motives that maybe other people don't see, or intentions or pitfalls or even creative solutions. I mean, just bottom line, you have kind of this built-in bull detector. You can tell the rest of us, here's the whole truth. But prophets can also have blind spots. Since you are so discerning and you are so often right, you can become arrogant and think you're right 100% of the time and you don't really need the rest of the community. But remember, your insight is a gift from God, not you. And secondly, you're not right all the time. You need others. I can talk that way to prophets. They don't mind truth-telling, okay? But here's why we need you, prophets. We need you to be the truth tellers. We need you to tell us the last 10%. Everybody else will tell the 90%. We need you to tell us the last 10% that others are afraid to say out loud. We need you to gently and humbly tell us the whole truth about our strengths, but also about our weaknesses. That's the prophetic gift. Now, if you scored big numbers on the E section, you probably have an evangelistic gift. Now, evangelist means one who brings good news to others. And evangelist, you're most likely, I don't know how to put it, you're kind of like the life of the party. You bring good news wherever you show up. You attract people. You gather people. You make, in the business world, you make great salespeople. You make great public relations reps. You make terrific politicians. Evangelists, you love helping people find their way back to God. You're the ones who, when we had our new book, Finding Your Way Back to God, you bought 10 copies and you gave it to all your friends and all your neighbors. And chances are, if you have an evangelistic gift, you find yourself consistently inviting people to come with you to church or inviting them to a small group. You're the person who probably hosted the big Memorial Day party. Or if you didn't host it, at least you went to one and you brought some other people with you and you brought the life of the party, right? If you have the gift of evangelism, here's where you have to be careful. Don't just kind of love and then leave people. When you're with an evangelist, okay, and if you're with an evangelist, you might know this to be true, they might think that they'll make you think that they're your best friend. But the truth is, you might just be their most recent friend, and soon they're going to be on to someone else. So here's the deal, evangelists. Make sure you value relationships as much as you do the cause. Because if you're not careful in the process, you can hurt people. Now, the Jesus mission, we need evangelists. Because more than anyone else, you grow the mission. We need you to include people in your groups. We need you to invite people into the life of the church. Keep inviting, keep including people so they can find their way back to God. Keep doing that. That's the evangelistic gift. Okay, a couple more. The shepherds scored highest on the S section. All right, listen. If you need somebody to take good care of you, these are the people. If you need a hug, this is the person, the shepherd. Shepherds are generally more tender-hearted. They are encouragers. They are caretakers. These are the people who, they really hurt when they see someone near them hurting. But to mistake them, they're not just a bunch of softies. In fact, some shepherds can be very strong and very firm when it comes to kind of protecting the flock as a shepherd. As shepherds, you might find yourselves in jobs like a counselor or social worker or nurse. And shepherds, here's where you need to be careful. A couple thoughts. First, be careful you set some clear boundaries for your own health. Shepherds, you'll have a tendency to take in every hurting person into your life, and quite frankly, probably also cats and dogs and all kinds of animals, because you want to help all of them. You want to heal all of them. But in the process, if you take in too much, you can actually hurt yourself. So you need some boundaries. But secondly, shepherds, you also can allow others to become dependent on you. So yes, you need to care for people, but don't do for them what they can do for themselves. We need shepherds around here. We absolutely need shepherds around here. And here's why you're so important. You're so important because you help people feel not only loved by you, but when they're loved by you, they genuinely feel loved by God. So we need you to love people in your small group. But then we also need you to help teach us how to love the people around us. That's the shepherding gift. Last one. If you scored high as a teacher, you would make a good teacher or maybe a trainer, but anything that allows you to share insights to groups of people. If you're good at that, you probably have the gift of teaching. Now, teachers, here's where you need to be careful. You will love the Bible, and you'll love all the insights that come from studying the Bible. And hear me on this. Hear me really loud and clear. This is very, 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 exclamation point, very good. But the point of following Jesus is not just the love of the Bible. The point of following Jesus is to love God and to follow his commands. The Bible is our truth source to the mission of God, but the truth source is not God. Now, the Jesus mission, here's where we need you teachers. We need you in kids' cities to bring insight into children. We need you in student community to share truths there. We need you teachers in small groups to also kind of enlighten the rest of us. We need teachers to help us discover new life-changing insights from God's words. We definitely need teachers. That's the teaching gift. So there you have it. Now think about this. Apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, teachers. All right, so what do we do with all of this info about ourselves and our gifts? I mean, do we kind of make a giant button that we can put on our shirt and say, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm an apostle." And I walk around telling people, "Aren't you glad you have me to start brand new things for God?" No, that's not the disposition. I mean, in fact, 1,000 times no. That's not what we're going to do. Remember this. This is important. This has got to be kind of the undergirding of the whole thing. We did not earn these gifts. These are gifts given by God. And why have we been given these gifts? If we go back to the Ephesians passage, Ephesians chapter 4, the Apostle Paul tells us that each of us have been given a gift. Here's what he says: to equip God's people for works of service, and then he continues, so the body of Christ may be built up. You see, God gives gifts to people, and then he gives people to the church or to the community. I've been given a gift to serve and to help build up this church, this community. You've been given a gift to serve, to help build up this church, this community. I am gifted, hear me on this, for you, and you are gifted for me. I was trying to think about how I've seen people use their gifts just around here. A few years ago, Les Barker, volunteer here at Community, he had this idea, just sparked an idea that he wanted to start this Alpha course he'd heard about at Community. We didn't have any. Wanted to start it from scratch. He was convinced that it would help lots and lots of people find their way back to God. So he pulls together the curriculum. He gets people to make meals. That's a part of the whole deal. He started the whole thing from ground zero. And a few years later, we have Alpha courses at half of our 13 campuses, and we plan to roll it out to all of them. And there have been dozens and dozens of people that have found their way back to God, all because he started this brand new thing. Want to guess his gift? He's an apostle, right? They start new things. They take new territory. Kirsten Strand, stay-at-home mom. She saw people in her neighboring communities living at a significant disadvantage financially, educationally, and a lot had to do just about where they lived or their ethnicity or other kind of variables. And I remember her just saying, this should not be. This is not right. I remember her telling me, reminding me actually, hey, the Bible has more than 2,000 verses on helping the poor. And she wanted to know, what are you going to do about it? Now, she said it in a nice way, but it was truth-telling. Her gift was pretty obvious, wasn't it? It's a prophetic gift, truth-telling. I'm thinking about Sylvia Alvarez. When she heard we had this buy one, get one free deal a couple months ago on Find Your Way Back to God books, she orders a box so she gets a second box free. Why? Because she had friends and family she couldn't wait to give the book to. I mean, her mind was just kind of flooded with different people that she wanted to see find their way back to God. I mean, she thinks about it all the time. And I think she's given away more books of those books than I did. And John and I wrote the book. Why is that? There's something inside her, a gift that God's given her. It's the gift of evangelism, bringing good news to people. Or there's Mary Stewart. Mary's been volunteering in the nursery for more than 20 years here at Community. She loved and took care of my boys when they were just babies. And over the last 2 decades, she has loved and literally loved and cared for hundreds and hundreds of our children and made sure first-time parents felt loved and cared for. What's her gift? Shepherding. Another person came to mind was my wife, Sue. I mean, for 10 years plus, she's been teaching women at Connections, a women's and moms group. She's been teaching parenting classes and parenting groups. And I consistently have people come up and find me, moms and dads in particular, and say, I'm so grateful for the insights your wife, Sue, offers from her studying her experience while teaching. What's her gift? It's a teaching gift. You see how all this works? And I want you to pull this all together. I am gifted for you, and you, by God, are gifted for me. And we've been given gifts to serve and to build each other up and to build up this community. And together, we've been given gifts to advance the mission of God. And Paul says if each of us will use our gifts for the good of each other and for the good of this world, the end result will be, he says this, that we'll become mature, attaining the whole measure of the fullness of God. All right, what does that mean? Translation, it's this, that we will individually, if we use our gifts for each other, we will individually become all that God wants us to be. And together, our community will fulfill the dream that God had for our community. And if every community fulfills that dream, we'll fulfill God's dream for the entire world. Get this. I'm gifted by God. You are gifted by God. We've each been gifted for each other. And we've been gifted for a mission that we will only accomplish when every person does his or her part. Let that sink in. Because here's the question I have to ask you today. Are you using that God-given gift that He's given you? Are you using it to build up the community? To help others find their way back to God? Are you using it to help this world become all that God dreamed it could be? Let me say, if you're an apostle, you have an apostolic gift, we need you. And God is asking you, He's gifted you. Take risks, start new things. We need you to start brand new groups. You got ideas about how we need you to start brand new ministries, brand new not-for-profits. Some of you have the capacity. We need you to start brand new campuses, brand new churches. If you have a prophetic gift, we need you to speak the truth in love. Gracefully, okay, but candidly, tell us the whole truth. We need you to challenge every one of us to grow to be more like the God we love and the God we follow. If you're an evangelist, you have an evangelistic gift. We need you. Keep on inviting people. Keep on including people more and more to your small groups, more and more to the celebration services. Why? Because we're counting on you. That's how more and more people find their way back to God, because you're inviting and including. Use your evangelistic gift. If you're a shepherd, you know how to care for people. It's a gift that God's given you. We need you to care for others. And we also need you to help all of us learn how to love and care for each other too. If you're a teacher, we need you to teach us God's truth. Little kids in Kids City, students in student community, adults in small groups and other venues. Use your teaching gift. And if you haven't been using your gift, here's my challenge to you. Start today. Step up and contribute to the mission. I will never be, you will never be, we will never be all who God has called us to be without each of us using our gift. But what we could become with each other, now that would be something amazing. I'll tell you what, I want to conclude and wrap this all up with a quote and then kind of an image for you just to think about. The quote comes from A.W. Tozer. It's called 100 Pianos. And kind of let this sink in. And he says this: has it ever occurred to you that 100 pianos, all tuned to the same fork, are automatically tuned to each other? They are of one accord by being tuned, not to each other, but to another standard to which each one must individually bow. So 100 worshipers meet together, each one looking away to Christ, are in heart nearer to each other than they could possibly be, were they to become unity conscious and turn their eyes away from God and strive for closer fellowship. See, we are those 100 pianos, and each of us looks to Jesus and plays our part, and together we create something amazingly beautiful. I want to be a part of that with you. Don't you? It's part of your identity. I'm gifted. You're gifted. We've all been gifted to create something beautiful together.
Has it ever occurred to you that 100 pianos all tuned to the same tuning fork are automatically tuned to each other? They are of one accord. By being tuned not to each other, but to another standard to which each one must individually bow. So 100 worshippers meeting together, each one looking away to Christ, are in heart nearer to each other than they could possibly be were they to become unity conscious. And turn their eyes away from God to strive for closer fellowship.